Hello Year 10, I hope you're well. This lesson is all about, did the lives of African Americans improve between 1877 and 1900? I've made this video to go through this week's PowerPoint because there's an exam question at the end where everybody will have to submit at least one paragraph. There is the option if you want to do the whole essay that you can do, but I want everybody to produce at least one paragraph. So the starter task is to look at some images. So you've got some images up here and I'll show you. So for example, we've got an image just there. We can see a dilapidated building there, and what we need to answer is, did the lives of African Americans improve? So you can make an inference from that and think, well, if African Americans are living in accommodation like that, they might be quite damp and cramped and dilapidated and falling to pieces. We might make the inference that their lives in this period didn't improve, and you can go through some of the other images just here, and it's just a bit of an introduction really to some of the things that you will be learning about in this lesson. There's a challenge and a super challenge task on there that you can have a go at. So you don't need to submit any of this slide, but work your way through it. If you've got somebody else in the house, you can have a little chat with them and have a little think about what that shows. So, like I said, we're looking at whether or not life improved between 1877 and 1900 for African Americans. There's a couple of examples here that I'm going to go through of individuals and what impacts they had on African American lives in this period. Remember, this is the end of the period, so we're actually in the last unit here. So this is after the Civil War, at the end of the century. After everything that we've learned, did African Americans' lives improve? So we've got Spyder Wells just here, and she was a civil rights campaigner, and she was born a slave in 1862, gained an education through the Freedmen's Bureau. You learnt about the Freedmen's Bureau when we were learning about the Civil War and the impact of the Civil War on African American lives. Became a teacher, a journalist, focused her attention on publicising the difficulties faced by Black Americans, and she particularly focused on the poor and the education that children, Black children, received. This is Frederick Douglass. We know a little bit about him from the work that we did on the causes of the Civil War. He was born in 1818. He escaped from slavery, taught himself to read and write, and he was a civil rights activist. He was one of the people in the causes of the Civil War that had a moral stance against slavery, and that was one of the causes of the Civil War, that people of that time started to take a moral stance about the evils of slavery. So then there's a task for you to do. Again, this isn't a task that you need to submit. You've got a sheet which is on Show My Homework that looks like this one just here, and you've got lots of boxes, and a really simple task is just to go through them. You can either print out the document or you can just do it on the document on your computer and just highlight how life did improve and try and find examples, and how life didn't improve, and maybe just use two different colours. There's a challenge task there as well, which you can start to categorise the different aspects of life, whether they're economic, to do with money, social, that's just kind of way of life, and how that was impacted, and political, that's sort of to do with power and voting really. So there's some tasks for you to get on with. That's probably going to take you a good 15 to 20 minutes at least to do that properly, so that you're in a position then to look at the exam question. There's also some super challenge tasks just there for those that want to just take it a little bit further. And then we move on to the next lesson, which is actually the exam question itself. So you've got the exam question here, and as you would do in your exam, I would write it out and then I would annotate what the key aspects of this question are. So there was little progress for Black Americans between 1877 and 1900. Okay, how far do you agree with that statement? So the first thing you would do is create a T table. So I've done a couple of examples that you might use. You get all of the examples from the work that we've just been through, so you just use your sheet and find some specific examples that you might be able to write a paragraph about and elaborate in a point, evidence, explain and linking back to the question format. So copy the examples, add at least 2 more. You can have 1 agree, 3 disagree. You can have 1 disagree, 3 agree. You can have 2 and 2. But as long as they add up to 4, particularly for those people that are aiming for the higher bands, the band 7+, you're going to need at least 4 good paragraphs to get the grades that you really want to. Once you plan the answer, then it's time to actually have a go. I've done a model paragraph for you just to show what a really good paragraph looks like. So what I suggest you do here, and you might want to pause the video after I tell you this, is to actually just go through the paragraph and have a look at where I've included my points. So where have I introduced the argument that I'm going to make, what evidence have I used, and where is the explanation and link back to the question, and maybe use 3 different colours. And then you might want to pause it then, and then you can have a look at what it looks like. So you've got the point, the evidence and the explanation and link to the question in 3 different colours there. That's the format that I'm looking at for yours. And what I'd like to do, just going back to the slide that was just on before, it did tell you that you need to submit your own paragraph, but I would like you to do your own paragraph. Don't use the same evidence as here. You might have a similar argument, so you might be doing another paragraph saying yes, there was little progress, but you're going to use some more evidence in that paragraph. So that's the least I expect. So the least I expect is you go through the lesson, have a go at doing a really good paragraph, the best that you can do, and then email that in to me. The email address is on the last the slide before, or submit it through Show My Homework. And then there's also I believe some kind of quiz for you to do this week as well. So have a go at doing that. And then I have sent an email, sorry, not an email, I have sent another piece of work for you to do on Show My Homework, but that's just an optional piece of work for those that feel like they've got more time on their hands, that they want to do some extra work to get up to scratch with their history so that they're prepared really well for their summer examinations. And I've sent that on, and there's some activities for you to do there. And if you do any of that work, by all means send that to me and I'll have a look at it and give you some feedback on that as well. So I look forward to seeing your quiz questions. Please make sure you revise for it before you do it. Some people seem to be just opening up the quizzes without even looking at the lessons and just having a go. That's not really the idea. Well, it isn't the idea. You need to go through the PowerPoint. You need to revise it. So you know, if you're doing a question at the end as well, you might want to have a little go at revising for it before answering the question. And certainly before you do the quiz, you need to be doing some revision, maybe doing a quick mind map of the key points, or some revision cards or something like that. Well, I hope this helps, but if you've got any questions, by all means email me, and I'll respond as quickly as I can. Well, take care everyone, and I hope you're well, and I hope your family are well, and I hope at some stage I'll see you again this academic year. Okay, bye.